And just before we started recording, Dan, you mentioned something about like Home Alone, and have you ever noticed that the bandits' names are quite sexual in nature? You got the wet bandits and the sticky bandits. It's a kids show.
Well, you know, the name.
Or am I sick?
They were called the Wet Bandits because they used to leave the taps on, right? It wasn't, you know.
But then they became the Sticky Bandits because he had a sticky hand.
Sticky tape. No, he put sticky tape on his hand.
Okay, I forget. That's the one with Trump, right?
Yes.
It is. No, they removed him. Remember? There was a whole thing about
Oh,
it.
yes.
Yeah. Digitally removed.
Some of our favourite films have had some stuff added into them, but we can talk about that later on.
Have they? There you go. I love it when they do that.
I'm not saying that Home Alone 2 isn't one of your favourite films.
Saw it at the movies, along with Edward
So did I.
Scissorhands. Double feature.
Oh, that's a good double feature.
Christmas movies.
Yeah, I can give you a Macaulay Culkin double feature I went to once. I saw Uncle Buck and Hunt for Red October as a double feature.
Wait, is Macaulay Culkin in Hunt for Red October?
No, he's in Uncle Buck.
Oh, okay.
No, but I'm sorry. You did say Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
No, just to tie into what Matt was saying.
I know, because I was just like, well, he's not in Edward Scissorhands either. So, yeah.
Would he possibly play in Hunt for Red October?
I don't know, the submarine.
Welcome to Multiple Nerdgasm with your hosts, Matt, Luke, and Dan. Multiple Nerdgasm, your guide to all things nerdy.
Do you remember Hunt for Red October? Do you remember the audacious device, cinematic device they used to make sure no one...
I was going to mention that this podcast episode anyway.
What?
Yeah, I was literally going to mention exactly that thing that you're talking about. So
Well, go on then.
Fine.
What is it?
I watched Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning this week. The latest Mission Impossible. I didn't get to see it in the theaters, even though I wanted to. I finally watched it.
It's 2 hours of a bike jumping a chasm.
It's 3 hours of a bike doing it.
Is it?
But it's 3 hours of...
And some running.
The bike does that in the middle, and then they sticky taped some plot to either side of it. So... but at the beginning of it, it opens on a Russian submarine called the Sevastopol, where it's not the same as Hunt for Red October, because in Hunt for Red October, they zoom in on the mouth of the person speaking Russian, and then it switches to English, and then it zooms back out.
It's a Tom Cruise movie, so they zoom in on the nose.
Well, no, they zoom in on a key that is a featuring thing in the movie. And then
the languages just start
it's in
to
Russian
switch.
with subtitles, and then it switches to English. And I was like, yes, it's such a good device that they stole.
It is because it's totally stolen.
It's good. I can see why.
Yeah, but also I can also see why everyone just doesn't do that, because that would become a cliche that we were tired of very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But
it works.
It makes more sense because it says, audience, we understand you don't speak Russian and that this movie needs to be in English. However,
and you are far too late, and we know you're far too lazy to read the entire thing.
That's right. However, we want you to know that we know that these people should be speaking Russian.
Yes.
Right? It's not that we think they speak English, all right?
This isn't one of those movies where we're not aware that people in other countries might speak a different language. Yeah.
The funny thing is, so I was working at World Movies Channel years ago, and you take for granted, I guess because we're native English speakers, and I mean, speaking for myself, that's the only language I speak, right? But when in movies you see, in movies where you see people go to other countries and have other people speak to them in English, I've encountered that enough that when I see that in movies, it makes enough sense to me, right? But then when I would watch French movies where they would go to Japan and all the Japanese people would just speak to the main characters in French, I was like, it is silly. Yeah.
That seems very unlikely.
Well, I have noticed that other countries do make an effort to try and cater for other languages. Like even in Japan, when you go there and there's like pictures of the food and stuff like that, and make it very easy. I went to Burger King and they saw it and they pulled out like a menu for me, and so I could point at it.
We have it
in
China.
Easy. Yeah, we got it very easy. When
they
we
knew.
Whereas in Australia, it's just no.
Yeah, as long as you're not a dick, then you can speak English most places in the world.
And most places too. If you learn please, thank you, and hello,
Yeah,
and
make
you
an effort.
use that and then switch back into your dumb Australian, they will go, okay, well, you tried, so we'll also try.
Yeah, exactly. It's when you
Not
just start
everywhere.
talking louder at them.
You in their own accent. That's what my
Yeah.
dad used to do. You guys will remember, though, in France when I got myself into trouble by trying to speak to a
That's right.
a beggar
Yes.
in French.
Yes. You told
and
him
then
you didn't speak
I ran
English
out of
in French.
in French, yeah.
And he
I
got
thought that was more polite.
Furious with you.
He really did. He got really angry.
Yeah, because
He
you were
really,
speaking
really
French,
Yeah.
which you weren't able
My
to do,
accent must have just
apparently.
been perfect. Yeah, because I
He's
know
watched that
how to say
sketch.
one thing.
He's watched that big train sketch with Simon Pegg where
Yeah.
everyone's like,
I
"Do
don't
you
speak
English?"
it. Somebody
"No, I don't."
around here must. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a village up there, just over the hill, a few miles. If you head on up that way, someone there probably speaks English.
Excuse me, this lady doesn't speak English and neither do I. Do you? No, I don't.
Speaking of Simon Pegg, he's in this movie, Dead Reckoning.
Of course he is. Now, here's the thing, right? When they popped him into the third one? It must have been.
Yes.
It was J.J. Abrams'
Yep,
one.
it was.
I thought, okay, funny that he's there. And, you know, it kind of made sense that they would just have a techie friend. I had no idea he was just going to become a
He's gonna be the main
staple of this
character.
franchise from now on.
There was a great interview with him and Elliot Goldsmith where he was talking about, they were talking about Hot Fuzz, I think. And he was saying, you know, like Shaun of the Dead took off, and then Hot Fuzz was hyped up, and all of his friends were saying, "Oh, you're going to leave us and go to Hollywood." And then he said, "Oh, it's not like they're going to call me and ask me to be in the next Mission Impossible movie." And then J.J. Abrams called him and said, "Hey, do you want to be in the next Mission Impossible movie?" And he was like, "Yeah."
He's also in a Star Wars.
That's right. So this movie
Is it good?
I enjoyed it. It's good. Out of all of them, this is the one where I've most felt like this is. They just made up some stuff they wanted to film Tom Cruise doing, and then they like I said, sticky taped a plot to it, and it really felt like that to me. And I know it got good reviews, and it's not bad. It's just it's cheesier than I remembered the others being, and it really is like the plot is so convoluted because it's just a way to get him into.
They often are, though.
Yeah. It's just a way to get him into these situations. And it got me thinking about, like, kind of the point of these movies almost now. The marketing around these is based around the fact that Tom Cruise does the stunts. And he does this crazy stuff. Like, he literally rides a bike off a mountain in this. I'm sure you've seen the promotional stuff. And I can't help thinking, does he really need to do that? Because him doing that is surrounded by a bunch of stuff that isn't practical effects. Like, it's not all practical effects. I don't believe for a second that everything that happens in this movie is a practical effect. It's not possible. Immediately after jumping off the cliff, he parachutes down, and because the timing happens to be perfect, manages to kick the henchman that's about to shoot Haley Atwell's character, smashes through the wall of the train and kicks him. Like, he didn't do that.
No.
You're not going to convince me that Tom Cruise did that. So I just don't understand.
Here's the thing, though.
Does he need to do this? Does he need to?
When
Tom
did he
Cruise
become the guy
is probably
that
the
does
biggest box office draw in the world and has been for many years.
But he's not good.
But even then, I think he's a good movie star. I'm not going to say he's a great character actor, but I think he's a good movie star, and I'll watch just about anything he's in. But I don't think he can phone it in. I think he still has to try just as hard as anyone else to market his movies.
Yeah.
I think his name alone is not enough. He's made enough. He's not made bad movies, but he's made enough average movies that I think
Yeah. And like, this
he
isn't
still
a bad
has. There
movie.
has to be a gimmick.
It's just
But I'll say this: the first Mission Impossible movie is one of my favorite movies.
I started rewatching
it's
it.
so good.
It's really good. Yeah, I'm about halfway through it now.
And
Like,
it's not. I mean, it's it's a bit camp, but it's like it's just a good movie. If they made no more after that, and it wasn't a franchise, you would still just say, "Do you remember that movie Mission Impossible from the '90s?"
But it is still. This is the thing I noticed rewatching it, is that it actually is still kind of centered around action moments in a way that these are, and so it's like, I guess it's not like a stretch that the new ones are also like that. I just
And
feel
it's
like that
fucking
one.
convoluted. They talk about this
Yeah.
knock list the whole time, and I'm like, do they ever say what NOC stands for?
No,
Like, or do
they
they?
just say that it's the list of all the IMF agents.
It's non-official cover.
Right.
It's people whose pseudonyms aren't listed.
There's a list of them.
in that list. Yeah,
that's
that's
right.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the main thing that came away from this thinking is that the movie's fine, but like I just don't know. Does Tom Cruise need to do that anymore? Like, because I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about Maverick, right? You know, he stopped production so he could learn to go and fly a fighter jet, so that he could be in the plane
Try and stop
in the
him
shots.
that.
But like, he doesn't need to be. We could whether he was in the plane or whether they made it look like he was in the plane. The effect is the same.
Yeah, like if you told me, do you know that Fay Ray really got taken up the Empire State Building by a
giant
gorilla?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, well, I've got to see this movie. Actually,
Yes.
maybe I would.
Yeah.
Maybe I would. But
The other thing is, like with this in particular, right? There was a lot of marketing beforehand to show the riding a bike off a cliff thing, right? Because I think if they didn't do that, you would assume that he didn't.
of course. But it also wouldn't have mattered. And
That's
to
what
me,
I'm saying.
it's the
It makes
same
no
as when they
difference
were
to the
saying,
movie.
yeah, you would have either seen it or not seen it. And I
Yeah.
would have said I'd seen it anyway, because I haven't seen it.
I
Because
think
to be
he
honest,
just likes
I
to
think there's
brag
too many
about
of
it.
these now.
Yeah,
I think he
likes
does
to do
too.
it
I
and
actually
likes
think
to
you're
brag.
right.
Look what I did. Look what I'm doing.
yeah.
He likes to be Hollywood's do-gooder, you know? Like,
Sure.
if we don't start doing these stunts, no one's going to believe it. Well, we will. Like, it's called the willing suspension of disbelief. We all do it when we
And
watch
like, not
movies.
to poo-poo it, but like they do, even in the practical stunt, it's touched up because he jumps off
course.
a ramp,
Yeah.
like in
And there'd
in
be-
real life, and they
there'd
made
be
it
a
look
net
like he's
somewhere.
jumping off the mountain. Which I mean, again, I don't begrudge him. He actually did it, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. I just question: does he really need to do that? Like,
Yeah, like if in the end of Temple of Doom they'd said to you that was actually the actor who played Mola Ram falling from that
apart by
bridge
alligators.
and being eaten by alligators.
Yeah.
No, again, that would make me go and see it, to be honest. But I'm just talking myself out of my own
Because-
point here.
It's not real. It's a movie. So I don't know.
I think he just wants to do them, mate. I think
Yeah.
he's fucking
That's fine.
bored.
That's fine.
But he also doesn't want anyone else to do them.
And I know
He
also
also
this
does
movie.
Space.
This movie.
We've been able to fake
suffered-
space since the 60s.
That's what I mean, and it's convincing. But yeah, the movie suffered because of COVID. I know that, and maybe that's why the story's a bit, And again, it's not bad. It's just like
I don't
it's
think
just
you can blame
obvious.
the story
There's
on
just so many
COVID.
scenes where a big action thing happens, and you're like, oh, that was cool, and then they talk for like 10 minutes to explain the plot because the action scenes are independent of plot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to get to another action scene.
Yeah, it's just very obvious. In
And
this
they
one.
do have good action scenes, generally speaking.
undeniably,
They're very
yes.
good. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's just set pieces joined by exposition.
Correct. Yeah, and I felt it more in this one.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it, and I'd recommend checking it out. It was fun.
Has there been one in between Henry Cavill's mustache and this one?
No, I think this is the next one.
Okay.
Mission Impossible Fallout was his
Okay,
one.
in that case, I am
then
up
there's
to
this one.
date. For some reason, I held out seeing this because I thought I needed to watch one
I don't
on
think so.
home video first.
And
but
you wouldn't anyway. It's not.
sure,
I mean, you know Rebecca Ferguson's in them, right? You've seen her in them.
yeah,
You know Ving Rhames
Yeah,
is in them.
as-
Simon
yeah.
Pegg's in them. That's all you need to know, really.
that's it. Right, it's the usual suspects. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
Does he still talk about the dead wife from the J.J. Abrams one? That continued on for a little bit.
Yeah, there's some some interesting callbacks to things. Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's not terrible. It's just like clearly it's like
it's been out on streaming for a little while now too. So
Yeah.
did you see it?
they
on streaming?
renamed
You didn't
it.
see this
Actually, it was originally called Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, and then we're going to
Yes.
make the next one Part 2, and then I guess they were like, oh, actually,
Oh,
we've
this
got
is
a
just
better
a
name.
movie.
So we don't know what the new name is, but they've just
Right.
renamed this now. to
Oh,
just
okay, but is it going to be
Dead
called like
Reckoning.
Dead Reckoning Armageddon, or is it just going to be called like Mission Impossible?
Mission
Something else?
Impossible Sevastopol, which is the name of the
Yeah.
submarine or something.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sebastian from The Little Mermaid. Am I allowed to do that voice?
Probably not.
Probably
I'm sure
not,
it's fine.
actually,
I'm
yeah.
sure
Well,
it's
you've
fine.
done it now.
Well, you've acknowledged that you didn't know, so I think that indemnifies you somehow.
I think that's how you can get out of any crime, right?
Yeah, I didn't know it was illegal.
I didn't know that was illegal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't work that way.
No. So you're saying that Hannah Gutierrez couldn't have just said, "I didn't know
So,
you weren't allowed."
like,
to
what
put...
are you bringing Hannah into this for? What
No,
has she
my
done?
attempted a stunning attempt at a segue. She couldn't have said, "Oh, I didn't know we weren't allowed to have real bullets in the
Yeah,
guns."
I didn't know shooting people was frowned upon.
So we've
Oh,
got some
New
follow-up.
Mexico. I thought this was old Mexico, where anything, goes.
I knew you were going to say that. How did I know you were going to say
I
that?
don't know. Is that a thing? Is there a song where that's the lyric or something? because it was fully formed like that in my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hannah found guilty of involuntary manslaughter for the death on the rust steps.
They believe
Now, hold on.
she herself is responsible for there being a
Well, as she literally is.
That's her.
No,
Whether
that
she's
was
brought or
mentioned,
not,
right?
she is literally responsible.
No,
for
but
it.
I think, unless I'm misreading this, they think she physically
Brought
put
it in.
the bullet in there, which is obviously
Now, to be
bad.
fair, they didn't say she put it in there so that
No,
she
of
could
course.
inadvertently murder the
Yeah.
DOP by the proxy of Alec Baldwin. They're just saying she was an idiot who was dicking around with real bullets.
Yeah,
I
I guess
that's what we understood.
I guess I don't know whether they. I said physically. Maybe that's not what they meant. She's responsible. That's the
She brought bullets on the set. Well, I mean,
She knew they were there. They shouldn't have been.
Before we knew all the details, the one detail we did know was that the crew were like, well, yeah, we were shooting at fucking cans and stuff on the weekend. Like, we knew that.
I know.
And then everyone just went
like
real quiet about that.
Oh, Alec Baldwin knew there was a bullet in there. Like,
Yeah.
in what
yeah,
world
that I
is
never
that
understood.
feasible?
I know.
Like,
right?
what?
And then even worse, they were like, oh, he should have known by the weight.
Weight.
But it was a bullet instead of a blank. Fuck off.
Like, if you think he intentionally murdered that woman, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like,
Yeah.
no, it was clearly an accident. He clearly didn't know there was.
If he didn't like that woman, he would have strangled her to death in a hotel room like any self-respecting man would.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
anyway,
if they come out, they found out that she was pregnant with his child or something. Maybe this would have blown something wide open. But as far as I know, it was a horrible, horrible accident.
yeah,
And an avoidable accident.
yeah. Turns out if you don't have bullets in the guns, this is less likely to happen.
I will say, I did know that before this. It didn't take this for me to know that.
Why didn't you tell them? This is on you.
I know. Oh shit! I'm responsible.
So has she been sentenced yet, or is it just?
I don't think so. I think she's
Well,
just
she also can probably appeal, right? Because didn't
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin have a manslaughter charge stick and then unstick later?
Yeah, her defense was it's his fault because he was the producer and he pointed the gun at her and pulled the trigger. I'm not sure that's going to hold up given that he was told there wasn't
gave him the
any
gun.
reason that he couldn't do that, and it was a film and they were filming it.
Yeah, because I think what the gun people on YouTube don't understand is that yes, everything you say about gun safety, not pointing, checking the gun, knowing all of this stuff is absolutely true when you're going shooting. But
Yes.
this was not that.
It's
This
supposed
was
to
an
be a
actor
controlled environment.
in a
What
play.
happened is not supposed to ever happen.
Yeah, and because of that, they have a person called the armorer who literally legally takes responsibility.
That is their one job, is to
They're
make sure
literally
that
their only job.
weapons are safe on the set.
They'll just ban it now. I'm sure they will. No movie is going to risk the insurance claim
Sure.
of having
Well,
even
I
the
don't-
chance now.
It doesn't make any sense why they still do it. Back in the past,
Agreed.
yes, you do need it to look real. We don't need that. We've got technology that make it's fine.
I mean, you could do it all digitally, but even so, you can got airsoft guns that
Yep.
blow back the hammer and everything when you shoot. Like it's perfectly acceptable to do that.
Yep.
I guarantee you've seen it in movies and you didn't even know.
Also, I'm sure actors could act like the gun's doing something.
Just go like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
did
right.
it in
Damn.
in
Yeah.
Jab Jab Russian Betrayal.
Yeah, that's right. With a blue.
I had to
what was
appear
it?
in
Was it
court
the-
to prove that I hadn't shot myself to death.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were one of the few people that's appeared as both the victim and persecutor of the same crime.
Right.
Was it the Time Crisis gun? What was that?
It was 2 Time Crisis guns. We were lucky enough to get our hands on 2 of them. Bright blue guns. Stick.
With cables.
With cables. No, I tucked them up my sleeves.
Yes.
The audience
yeah.
had no idea.
And that's the magic of movies.
That's right.
But I will
slid
say
in
this.
sideways on a chair.
Yeah.
If you recall.
And when you put little lens flashes on that
Yeah.
in After Effects,
It looked pretty good.
I thought to myself, that looks real.
It looks good.
couldn't
It
tell the
looks as
difference.
real as anything else in that movie looked.
And you know what? For the video listeners, I'll pop a cheeky little clip in here for you so you can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. From memory, I think was the music in that Nine Inch Nails. They're not going to sue us.
I think it's Rammstein. In that
Oh, it's
bit.
Ram. It is.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
Rammstein.
You're going to hear it in a minute.
Yeah.
You drive a hard bargain.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this helps Alec Baldwin. It seems like it probably would
think it
give him some leverage.
I don't think so, because they could still, even though she is, they could still go after him as well.
He could also be guilty. Yeah, I
yeah,
suppose so.
Because it's not about, it's about like, yes, she's responsible, but then he's, as her boss, also has some responsibility.
Yeah, it does give him the ability to say, no, it's her fault the bullet was in there. I basically can't be held responsible for that part of it. And then his defense could argue in that their argument will then be he had no reason to suspect there would be any issue.
But manslaughter's different because you don't have to have any premeditation or any culpability. So like my mum's friend, and this is just anecdotally, someone jumped in front of her car to commit suicide, like with a suicide note pinned to them. Right? Yeah. Just ran into traffic on the highway. She was the one that hit him. And she was charged with manslaughter. And I remember at the time I was thinking, like, how is that fair? And my mum had to explain to me, like, manslaughter doesn't mean you did anything wrong. But somebody has to be accountable for the death.
Yeah, right.
But
I remember a friend of my dad's. I found a friend of my dad's had been convicted of manslaughter. And I was like, oh, we're just going to go around to this crime boss's house, are we?
Yeah, that's
like, I just
right.
didn't understand as a kid.
We're all not safe now.
Dad, what do you mean you're friends with this guy?
Yeah.
But he slaughtered a man.
We had an opposite one. I told you about our friend Lester, didn't I? And then one day somebody's like, that's not his real name. And I'm like, what? They're like, oh no, his name's Chad. We just call him Lester because he went down for rape years ago. And I was like, what?
What?
Why are we making light of them? Just call him Lester the molester ever since he got out of jail.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, I'm not going to that guy's house anymore.
Yeah. With your mum's friend, I think the reason why she probably be charged with manslaughter is because even though the person jumped out, if she had been driving unsafely, speeding, and could have still prevented it, that's where.
Well, yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and she was yelling, die, cunt. But that's German for
This is German
the cunt.
The cunt. The cunt's running in front of the car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've got a hat on.
Does it affect your depth perception?
No, because I realised the audio listeners are just going to hear this bump. Oops, sorry. And they're going to wonder what happened. My hat hit the microphone, listeners. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't realise it was the hat that hit the microphone. I thought it was your hand that hit the microphone, and you were just saying that you're all skew-iff today because you're not used to wearing a hat.
I have some good news and bad news.
Go on.
Because Matt, you weren't able to get the popcorn bucket with.
I was not able to get the popcorn bucket.
I have seen that a fleshlight does fit in the bucket.
I also love how Luke says it. I have seen
online.
Yeah.
It fits in perfectly, so you could.
Which one's Stoya?
Almost
or Brandy
as
Bell?
If it was designed to do that.
Yeah.
Brandy Bell, you've conjured another one.
I don't know. I didn't want to use the same one as. I know. Who did you say? Riley?
Yeah, Riley Reid. I said.
Hannah Gutierrez.
That's the. Oh yeah. Okay. I see what you're doing.
I'm trying to do a bit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't see.
Shoot your load into no.
No.
I didn't get the bucket. I did get to see the movie though. I have seen Dune Part 2.
Does he fuck a worm in the movie?
I don't want to discuss any spoilers. I can neither confirm nor deny that a worm gets fucked. I think you know that a worm does get fucked in a manner of speaking, though, Dan. Wink, wink.
That's
the story of Dune.
Yeah, that's how little worms get made.
That's right. That's how little worms get drowned.
Yeah.
Read the book, see the movie. Dune 2, very good. I won't spoil anything, even though it's been
as
around
good
for a long
as
time.
Dune 1, the movie.
I think better than Dune 1, the
Excellent.
movie. excellent movie.
So they're going to make another one.
Yeah,
they have a lot of shots of Timothée Chalamet standing in a wide-screen shot, looking thoughtful.
so
That's what I like
just
about
him,
this.
some of him and Zendaya doing that. Some of them sitting together. There's some of him and what's he, the guy from No Country for Old Men, doing that.
Yeah,
some good. It's got some good comedy in it too. I got to say.
Does it?
Not in a like eye rolly kind of way. No, there's like some good funny bits. Like Stilgar's pretty funny in it. Like,
yeah. I thought Momoa was funny in the other one. I don't remember him. I mean, he's not cracking jokes, but like there's
it's just and I mean you're probably somewhat familiar with the plot of Dune. I won't spoil anything, but the thing is that they think some of the Fremen think he's like a fulfillment of a prophecy. Right, and there's a faction amongst them, and it's played for laughs sometimes in a way that I didn't expect, but not in a like.
They're like this guy.
It's not like waka waka waka. It's a joke, but they just do like he denies it like the true prophet would, and stuff like that. And that's just like it's good.
That's a bit Monty Python-y, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. So anyway, it's great. Go see it.
I want to see this. Want to see it at IMAX? Did you see it at IMAX?
I did see it in IMAX. I actually want to see it not in IMAX because I saw a comparison video on YouTube a couple days before. IMAX is square.
Oh,
the film wasn't shot square, and it's shot by what's his name, Aussie guy, Rogue One.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? Greg Fraser. Greg Fraser? Is that who I'm thinking of? Greg.
I have no idea.
Lost it.
Greg Fraser. Greg Reiser? No, I've spelled that wrong. Greg Fraser, Australian cinematographer. Did he do this one, or have I made that up? No, he did. He did Dune. Yeah, Greg Fraser.
Okay.
So it's beautiful. And I want to see it in widescreen,
so you can see more of it.
Now,
just not bigger.
So when Nolan shoots IMAX, he shoots tall screen, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think you've got to. I mean, maybe they did frame it in a way that it works. Because I know Stanley Kubrick used to do that. He used to frame it so it works both ways. Like
he used to go both ways. That's for
right.
sure.
So maybe they did that, but I just think. I mean, I like widescreen because I just like that. So.
We are from a generation that witnessed the change from square screen to widescreen, and so I think that's why we have value for it.
Yeah, when I see a beautiful widescreen shot of Timothée Chalamet in the desert, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
All right, I might watch the first one some point.
Well, I've got a listener question for you.
Oh,
Luke.
no. You know what you should do, Luke? Watch half of the David Lynch movie up until where it ends. And then go and see Dune 2.
I watched some clips from the David Lynch one, and I got to say, it's not that bad. It's bad.
Oh, no.
It's not that bad.
But it's also good. Like, it is bad, but you've got to put it in context as well of 80s sci-fi movies. It's no worse than Masters of the Universe.
And because people are like, oh, it's so weird. I'm like, the fucking book is weird as hell.
It's no worse than Zardoz.
Yeah.
You know, like
super weird.
The book's super weird.
One of the things I really appreciate about Denis Villeneuve in this case is that he knew when to just we're just not going to go near that. We're not going to show the fucking space engineers, right?
Yeah, we're not going to. We're not going to show a jar of some alien controlling a ship with its mind.
The spice allows space travel. Move on, right? We're not going to show how that works because it's weird, and then things like that, and they just he knows what to skip and then what to, and also I think I said this to you guys on Messenger. Some of the stuff in it is like, how are they going to film that? And obviously they had issues with it. Because people have always said it's unfilmable. Because there's stuff in this that's like bizarre. Like it is a bit weird. And it turns out the secret is just don't show it too much.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
Yeah, because I think that was Lynch's problem because he was like, Space Guild, build it for me. Yeah. You know, and it's that's a big puppet from the 80s. That's going to date very quickly.
Subtlety. Let the person's imagination fill in. That's Clive Barker's big thing. Is just the less you show them, the more their imagination will fill in the gaps and you get a better payoff. Yeah.
That's accidentally why Jaws was so popular. You know.
Yeah. There you go.
They were going to have 50 shots of that shark, and they ended up with 3, and it was much scarier. It didn't fucking work.
Yeah.
The other reason that this book is so unfilmable, in quotes, is because a lot of it is just talking about the plot. You know,
there is a lot of talking in this, but it's like I said, he's
but
got
also
a balance.
because in the book too, usually authors will kind of have someone's point of view as the kind of hero point of view,
Sure.
and that doesn't mean that they'll speak in the first person necessarily. Could still have that voice of God, but if the author knows about one person's story, then side things will kind of just be on the periphery of that. Whereas the way that Dune is written is like, I know everything about everyone.
Yeah, I'm just telling you what's happening.
Now I'm in this scene telling you everything that happened in this room. And now I'm in this place and I'm telling you everything about this. So it's a different... It's not a book that feels like a movie. Some books, when you read them, you're like, oh, I can see the movie.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm glad it's good. I will see it.
Oh, yeah, so I have a listener question. Somebody, listener Nate. I don't even know why I said somebody. I'm used to not naming people now because some people don't.
Some people don't want to be named. Yeah,
it's because we've embarrassed people before by accident.
I mean, even if Nate didn't want to be named, I'd still name him. I'd still name you, Nate.
Yeah,
you're being named right now.
Nate wants to know, right, Luke? You claim to have only read the page of Dune in which Paul Atreides recognizes Johnny Halleck's footsteps as he.
That's as far as I can get.
That occurs in chapter 4.
I got that far.
I knew that somebody would call him out on that.
And so what he wants to know is, did you just find a tattered copy of Dune in the same tree stump as Cindy's new love?
Yeah. Or did you? Yeah. Or did you read all the bits about the Kwisatz Haderach and all of that first before we get to that point?
I don't know. In my head, that's where the book starts, and
you were
that's
like,
all I can
that's
remember.
Boring.
That's the most memorable part of what I read of that book.
The stuff is all before that. He's right.
I do not recall any of that.
There's a whole bunch of stuff before it. So,
no,
right.
Some pretty intense stuff. In fact, some stuff that when I finally read this book, in, 2015 or whatever it was, many years after I'd been hearing about how good it was, I was reading that stuff going, oh, this is good.
Yeah. I read it during my exams in, I think, year 11 or something in high school. And I knew already about the movie, but I'd never seen the movie. Because in our school library, we had the Making of Dune book about the movie.
Oh, wow.
And actually, I think that and Batman is probably a big reason that I got so interested in film, because I just read this whole book about the making of Dune, having never seen it, then read the book. And so I already knew that Patrick Stewart was Gurney Halleck, for example. And so he literally just always has been in my head.
Yeah,
it's like an interesting side effect of that. Like I've seen pictures of what these people look like. So even when I read the book, having not seen the movie, that's what they look like.
That's what they are. Yep.
Did you see that Super Bowl ad just now where Patrick Stewart kicks that little cartoon boy up a hill?
No.
What?
Just Google it after this.
All right.
Okay.
And yeah, they're probably going to make another Dune.
Yeah.
So this one's doing very well.
Which the third one will be very, very different, won't it? Like,
if they do it the same as the book. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, Matt, you don't have to spoil it, but you also don't have to avoid it. But how far beyond the boundaries of Dune does this go, or not? It inflated.
It doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No.
Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I already know there's some stuff from the first half of the book that wasn't included in the first movie that is now put in the second half because Florence Pugh is in this.
There's some stuff that's different.
She's all over the book.
Do you know they never say her name?
Florence.
We were talking about it afterwards.
Yeah,
they only refer her by her character's name.
No, I mean they never say Princess Irulan. I don't think the words Princess Irulan occur at all in the film. I don't think either that or they talk about her when she's not there and it's unclear. I know who they mean, but I'm not sure the audience would know.
She pretty much narrates the book.
Yeah,
because it's
and the first and the David Lynch movie.
I was about to say, and I think the first line of the David Lynch movie is "I am Princess Irulan."
Yeah, she pops in space and tells you about it. Yeah.
Who is that? Who plays her in that? Is that
shit? I know this.
Joanne Whaley? Because I know that Rachel, the replicant, is Chaney, right?
Yes, Sean Young. Yeah,
Sean Young.
Yeah, Virginia Madsen.
Virginia Madsen, that's it.
Yeah, she's hot in Dune. Just putting that out there.
Oh, it's super high out there in that desert.
Yeah. Because afterwards, I went and saw. I bought tickets with Jenna, and then Jordan wanted to come too, so she got tickets. She couldn't sit with us, but she got tickets to the same session. So we met up afterwards and had a beer. And Jordan has read the book, Jenna hasn't. And I said something about Princess Irulan, and Jenna was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Yeah, they didn't say.
Interesting.
You just know that's the Emperor's daughter. I don't think they ever said her name."
Okay.
Jodorowsky was going to cast Orson Welles as the Emperor.
I would love to have seen that.
Great.
Although, honestly, I think the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune is
much
better than the movie would ever have been.
Absolutely. Well, for starters, he admitted he'd never read the book.
But yeah, the documentary is so entertaining that I worry that we would have got a bad movie.
He's going to star his own son as Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
But the story about Orson, he flies to, I think, France, Paris, where Orson was just living at that time, to ask him to be in the movie. And Orson was in this restaurant having lunch, just fucking gorging himself with some kind of French meal.
French champagne.
Oh, the French waiter, bring me the... And Jodorowsky was saying, like, I want you to come and be in this movie. And he's like, no, I'm not doing movies anymore. I want to come and eat lunch in this restaurant every day. And he's like, what if I hired the chef from this restaurant to fly to Los Angeles to cook for you every day? Would you do it? He's like, if you did that, I'll do it. But he never made the movie, so.
Oh, man.
I watched something set in the desert this week, in the dunes, but it wasn't Dune. It was Sand Job, the latest installment in...
the Grand Tour.
The Grand Tour.
What'd you think?
I liked it very much, but I will agree they're not even pretending that they're not reading lines now, are they?
No, it's...
Like... There's so many times where they're surprised by the entrance of one of their colleagues, and I'm like, he must have been standing there the whole time. Like,
you're in the desert, you saw that car approaching.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But I mean, it was all good. I mean, the foreshadowing of they want to explode this tanker.
Yes.
Well, let's not let that happen. And you're like, fucking cannot wait till the second.
And then they're in another country, and then that fucking snowmobile comes in, and it's like, I mean, obviously we're not meant to believe that's real, but it is funny.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
definitely good.
Yeah,
it is a shame that we've only got one more to go, but it's also, I think it's time, because
probably is. Yeah, they're looking their age now.
Yeah. They've been doing it for a very long time.
And their standalone shows... Oh, not Hammond's. Hammond's shows have been a bit of a mess. But I think...
Clarkson Farm.
And James May's travel shows are very good too.
May's YouTube stuff is fucking funny too.
Oh, really?
He's got one little series called Unpimp My Ride. And he's telling people what to take off your car that makes you look like a dickhead.
I've seen a clip of that because I think that must be what he was doing. There's a YouTuber I like called Matt Armstrong. He's a British guy who does fixes crashed cars, and he's got a Maserati, and James May called him a dickhead because of the way
could be this.
Yeah.
So there you go. It. Yeah.
Well, now I have to watch that.
Yeah, it's just short. It's like he comes up, someone's got a BMW, and he's like, "This is not a BMW M series," and he takes a chisel. He's like, "So don't put an M sticker on it."
Nice.
So I see there's a link here for a new game that we should play together, but we never will.
Yeah. No, well, maybe. There's been a fairly recent example of a time that we did play a game together. This game is made by the people who made that game I'm talking about. Dune Awakening is made by Funcom, the people who made Conan Exiles, which is a game we did play together.
I played 2 hours of Conan Exiles this week. Because
now you can play it, but on Arrakis.
Well, see, that's the funny thing, because there was a game that came out on Switch last year that I also got, which was basically Conan but Dune.
Yeah, the Star Sand or whatever the fuck.
Star Sand, yeah, something like Spice Worm, the movie. But it was
Spice Worm. Wormy Spice, the
Wormy Spice.
Girl.
yeah, the one that's not married to Christian Horner. Although the plot thickens there.
I know. We've got some...
They're leaning into that.
After party follow-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll play this. I played. I suddenly realized that I could play Conan on my Absolute, and so I was like, I could literally just be in bed at night playing Conan. What a fucking time burglar!
That is a good game.
A game with no aim.
That is a fun game.
Yeah, I struggle with those games, but I'm good at mining and gathering resources. That's it.
This Dune Awakening looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
I reserve the right for it to be shit. And
I think they've probably also learnt a lot from Conan as well. So
yeah. True.
Like how to destroy villages. And...
I mean, they've remade Conan from the ground up at least twice.
Yes.
In its lifestyle. You know, like it's there's still huge updates every time you play it, but at least it's the same game now. Whereas the game mechanics changed at one stage, and then the way that the whole point system changed at another stage, and you reverted everything back to zero. Like it was a bizarre.
Oh, that would be painful.
If there was a point to the game, it would be, but there wasn't. So
it really doesn't matter. Yeah.
All right. I'll wait for it to come out. If it comes to Xbox, I might play it.
It is on Xbox. That's how I saw it. It was in this trailer was in the showcase they did the other day. So I don't know if that means it's on Game Pass. Maybe it's on Game Pass. That'll make it even easier for us to play together. Except Dan, because he doesn't have Game Pass anymore. But
there are ways. There are ways to.
One thing is made quite clear: you can't kill a sandworm. Well,
Can you ride one though?
Good question.
Can I impregnate one?
There's a base building system.
Not even just fuck one. He wants it to bear his child.
Yeah. That looks cool.
Does a worm only has one orifice, right?
So
I don't know how
in real life.
work.
I'm not saying that Frank Herbert.
No, you just made me think of something that was in the movie. This is not a spoiler.
Spoilers to that. You're like, well,
you know how.
See.
No. I had questions, right? Because I don't think they ever explained this in the David Lynch movie, and I worried that this was going to be the fact that they ride the worms is a little weird. Except they do explain it in the book, right? How why doesn't the worm just go underground again? It's because the hooks pull open the armor plating, and then the sand gets in it. So therefore, it literally keeps you up top, and then you can steer it because you pull the plates. And it steers the worm, right? So there actually is a
moves so that stays out.
And the way that they show that in this is that they pull it up and you can see there's these little holes where the sand goes in. I was like, oh, okay, good. You're
like, I could fuck it there. Yeah, I could.
Well, they didn't just I think in the David Lynch one, they're just on the worm, and it's unclear why the worm is allowing this. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's like,
horses could buck you off, you know. So
it could what me off. Oh. I saw an interview with Denis Villeneuve where he's talking about how one of the things that's left vague in the books is how do they actually get onto the worm in the first place?
Yeah. How do they climb up the worm?
And they have to come up with that, and it's I guess it's pretty good. Like,
okay,
it's a good.
They don't just wait till it's only out of the sand a little bit, and then just get on when they can basically. No,
it's like it's a thing. It's pretty.
They got a worm ladder.
Yeah. He's a good movie making man. Denis Villeneuve.
He is.
I like his stuff.
Good.
It's good.
You should watch Sicario.
I should. I actually have it on Apple. I bought it on Apple to watch it.
You should watch it. I mean, I don't like movies about drug cut. I don't give a shit about
crimes.
Crimes. I just don't like crimes.
I hate crime. It annoys me.
Yeah. It doesn't pay. But it's not about that. It's not about that. What it's about is do the tactics that the Americans have to use in order to fight the cartels make them just as bad as the cartels.
Yeah, right.
Like it's an evil versus, it's a spectrum of evil kind of movie. And what I love is that when you watch Sicario 2, you're like, hang on, where's the continuity here? And there isn't any, because he wrote 2 scripts. They picked one. They weren't sequels to another. He just wrote 2 versions of the script. Right. Then when that was successful, they went, make that other one. He's like, do I need to change anything? I'm like, no.
It'll be fine. Approved.
Characters that are dead are suddenly alive because it's just an alternate universe of the same characters.
That's very strange. No, I will watch that after I watch all the Mission Impossibles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have
it should.
either of you seen Rebel Moon yet?
No.
Still not.
No.
But apparently a lot of people
it.
have, according to Zack Snyder.
Yeah. He was on Joe Rogan this week talking about stuff. I listened to the start of it. It's pretty interesting. I will listen to the rest. I do find Zack Snyder interesting, and it's an interesting insight into his point of view, because one of the things this article mentions, he says on Netflix, when you look at the numbers, I think, what did he say? Something like 90. Hang on, let me get the number right. He's saying it's at 90 million views on Netflix, right? 80 or 90 million.
Yeah.
And then he says, and when you watch something, you're usually with somebody, right? So double that, right?
Yeah, just double it.
So,
Yeah.
therefore, if it had been in the movies, it would have beat Barbie. Fact.
Yeah. I don't.
The
But
numbers don't lie.
Yeah, he says 160 million people at $10 a tickets would be, what is that math? I don't know. 160 million times 10, that's 1.6 billion. So
that's how much.
So that's his box office taking now.
yeah, exactly. He's done
Officially
that.
listed,
He's done that.
yeah.
That's right. So top of the charts. Yeah, I don't know. It's just funny. Like, I mean, I get where he's coming from. He's promoting his movie, but
Yeah.
I mean,
And he's always arguing that his movies are more popular than they are.
it's Netflix is a completely
He's the
different
most
thing.
popular director that there is.
Yeah.
But
He's
here's the thing,
so
like,
mainstream, and he makes so many movies and gets all this money to be making these movies, and yet somehow he still has to fight his way up.
but like he's like he's crazy. Like Netflix is very different. There are plenty of stuff that we will watch that we would definitely never go to the movies to see.
Yeah. There's a big difference between I'm going to go pay $10 to go to the movies to see this thing to I'll just chuck this on while I'm doing the ironing.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
big difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I do like how he just goes 89 million, then you just double it. $10 a ticket, 1.6 billion. Bigger than Barbie.
You've got a friend. You've got at least one friend. So
A lot of people have sex during Netflix movies, so that's a baby, so triple it. Now, I did tease early on, I should watch this too, and I should watch The Creator as well. I just don't want to watch any bad sci-fi that I know
The Creator's not bad. I just overhyped it in my own head.
Yeah,
No, it is good. I just hyped it up too much. It's my fault.
Okay.
It's not Gareth's fault. It's my fault.
I still think you should watch 65, although Luke will disagree.
Don't.
Oh, that's the one with Kylo Ren.
Dinosaurs.
Kylo Ren fights dinosaurs
Oh,
on
okay,
another planet.
I said Kylo Ren. You said Kylo Ren. Luke said dinosaurs.
And none of us were right.
Yeah. Very good.
Maybe I should give it another try. I just did. It wasn't good.
I'm not going to convince you to watch it. If you don't think a spaceman, crash landing on another planet, which turns out to be Earth, and then fights dinosaurs with his laser gun, if you don't think that's interesting, that's on you, mate. Maybe you like dramas and rom-coms. I don't know.
Well, speaking of dinosaurs, have you heard about the rumors for the next Jurassic World movie? Because they're making another one.
I know. Gareth Edwards is directing it.
Yeah. Yep. What's the rumor?
Hybrid dinosaurs and humans.
Oh, they've finally done it.
They've talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's fucked one.
Yep.
That's the tagline. Jurassic World 7. Someone's fucked one. It's the same. It's directed by Denis Villeneuve, and he's had to figure out how you climb up onto it.
They just took the script for The Howling 3, and they said,
marsupials.
Swap the marsupials with dinosaurs.
Yeah. And they're like, but we'll make it more realistic. He's like, don't you fucking dare. Make me some puppets. Make me some fucking puppets. Just put a lot of backlight on them.
The Howling 3 is a movie I have to watch again.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you, Matt, that Burnham Burnham, the First Nations man who stars in that movie,
Yeah.
came to our school, Warragamba Primary School.
Wait, what? No, you haven't told me this.
To tell us about the makings of that movie. Now, obviously, none of us had seen it, right? This is an R-rated action horror movie,
which,
right?
to be fair, I think that movie was bigger in Australia than it was anywhere else in the world because it was filmed in the outback. And
yeah. And if you're wondering, if listeners don't know what we're talking about, Howlings 1 and 2, not Australian
nothing
movies.
to do with it.
No.
Yeah.
Just werewolf movies. And then somebody was like, what else can we do? I think it was the Canon Group. Was it the Canon Group that used to buy rights and then just make shitty sequels?
Probably, yeah.
Which is the reason we got Superman 3 and 4 by just a completely different team.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so he just came to our school in like 1986 or whenever it was that movie was made.
Horror
and I
movie,
think they probably thought he was going to be just talking about what it was like to, be an Aboriginal man and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But he would just talked about the film. And he
Well,
told
you
us
would.
the plot.
I would if I was...
I mean, that was the most interesting thing that had happened to him, of course, yeah.
Totally.
But he just told us about, told us the whole plot. They just stood there telling us the plot of the film. And then the woman turns into, and then she gives birth to the, he just told us the plot.
Animal.
The fucking thing, and it climbs up into the little pouch.
It's fucking weird. But I like it.
Yeah. It's extremely weird. Yeah.
It's that, and there's another Australian horror movie called Body Melt that is fucking weird because Body Melt has got Harold from Neighbours in it. And Lisa Kudrow.
Oh.
Lisa Kudrow's from Friends. Who's the Australian girl who was in Blue Healers? The blonde girl, little blonde girl. Woman.
Oh.
Sorry, woman. I'm being...
Lisa McCune.
That's who I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, I'll be.
I was right in the first name.
Oh, and it's got Andrew Daddo in it, of course.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like a gross out horror movie from
Matthew
the 80s.
Newton's in it too.
Oh, 80s or 90s. But yeah, super weird.
Okay,
movie.
yeah, it's early 90s. But this looks
Yeah.
great, and I will watch this for sure.
Oh, Madge.
Amazing.
Remember in
Yeah, I'll
Neighbours when
watch that.
Harold when he died and then they brought him back? Neighbours got wild.
Yeah.
Because they thought he drowned, and then he just comes back years later.
Yeah.
When
They
and
did that
amnesia.
with somebody else too.
They were like,
didn't
you know
they?
what? Maybe he just didn't drown.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you know who audiences liked? Harold.
Are you busy?
The funny thing is, though, the thing with Neighbours is that it ran for so long that by the time you're watching it, chances are you don't have nostalgia for characters from 20 years ago. You know, like
isn't we're losing any listeners who don't know what the fuck Neighbours is. Anyone who's not in England or Australia is not going to know what we're talking about. It's a sitcom, not sitcom, drama
soap
show,
opera.
soap opera.
Yeah.
There you go, from Australia. Toadie, I think, is the longest running character on that show.
Yeah, I can't believe they kept him.
The guy who was a bully at the beginning
Yep.
just became the most beloved character.
He became a teacher at the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Funny, right? And I'm
Because
sure he married one of the Ramsey
just
Street
brought
girls.
it back again.
Yeah, every time they try to take it off, people just demand to get put back on. I know that Kylie Minogue was angry that they brought it back because the reason they convinced her to be in another episode was that they said, this is the finale. Like, you're going to want to be in this.
Yeah. Bookend it. Is Home and
My
Away still
favourite,
on?
though, was... Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. I think so.
You remember E Street? Remember that
Yeah,
Australian soap E Street? You remember how that ended?
No.
Everybody died.
That's excellent.
Everyone went to that pub on E Street and it exploded. There was a gas leak and it exploded. And
That's
everyone died.
excellent. That is excellent.
End of show. Like,
Brilliant.
what do you do? What do you
I
do?
told you I met one of the actresses from Home. I've told you this story. I know I have on the podcast
Yes.
before at a
This is
sandwich
great,
shop
though.
because I thought I walked into the sandwich shop with some people from work and I saw this girl there and I was like, oh, I think I went to school with her or something. Not out loud. I just saw this girl and I was trying to figure out where do I know her from, and she obviously saw me looking at her and thought he's a fan because she was a celebrity.
And you saw her and thought, did she go to...
I did. Yeah, did she go to Mamre or what?
Yeah.
Did I go to school with her? And then she said hi, and I said, "Oh, hey, how have you been?" And she said, "Oh, very good." And it was one of those things like, "Yeah, we know,
Yeah.
We think we
No
both
need
think
for
we
any
know
more
what's
things
going on
going on.
here."
Yeah.
And then and I
You
said,
both
"Oh,
knew
you
the
like,
score. It just wasn't the same score.
yeah." I was like, oh, well, good to see you. Glad you're well. Bye. Like, she was like, yep. Thanks. And left. And then my friend from work goes, how do you know her? And I was like, I don't remember. I think I went to school with her. And he goes, no. She's from Home and Away.
And you're like,
and I was like,
oh yeah, that's
yeah,
why I know her.
she is from Home and Away. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know her.
My mum did that with Michael Schumacher.
The F1 driver?
Yes, not Mick, Michael, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Years ago, like in the
yeah.
90s or 2000s or whenever it was.
Where?
Saw him at Sydney Airport and was like, I know this guy. Same as you. Just like, where do I know this guy from? And she doesn't watch motorsport, so she does not... she would not have... Yeah, same thing. She was like...
He was just very famous, yeah.
Hey! And he was like, oh, hi, how are you? And she's like, good. And then just went back and her friend or whoever it was like, Michael Schumacher? She's like,
no,
I recognize him from somewhere. but he's probably just used to people coming up.
I can confirm that Home and Away is still on, they are up to episode 8,225.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's
I'm
even more episodes than Matt's A Country Practice.
Yeah. Who is this girl that I bumped into? No, not Isla Fisher. She was a redhead, but someone else.
Not Melissa George.
No. See, I would know them. Because they were from the era when I was younger and I actually watched it somewhat, you know. Nah, see.
I don't know.
Who was that Ilmalogaloo person?
Rebecca Ilmalogaloo.
Wait, is that a real name? That just popped into my head.
Do you know why I know that name? It's because in that Who Shat on the Floor of My Wedding podcast, that's one of the pseudonyms someone uses. And I was like, that's an actress.
I couldn't get into that. I listened to 3 episodes of that on a road trip and I was like, I'm looking this up.
I thought it was funny.
Just looking it up who did it. I think I just can't stand New Zealand accents for that length of time.
I don't know who this person is.
No, you've got a lot of actresses to go through.
Yeah. I'm looking at him like, there's a lot of redheaded ladies on that show.
Yeah. Because it has been running since 1988, so what's that?
Oh,
like,
is this
Like
her?
they're redheads.
This might be her. Kimberly Cooper. That's her.
Oh, I recognise that name.
Kimberly Cooper.
Yeah, that's her. I saw her at a sandwich shop. That's
You creeped her out in a sandwich shop.
Yeah. That's who it was.
Oh, yes!
Yep.
But you know what? This is going to sound weird. This does look like the kind of girl we went to school with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
sure. Yeah. Yep.
Like if you saw her, she doesn't look like a movie star.
No.
She just looks like one of the chicks from netball.
That's why I just couldn't place her, and I was like, I know her from somewhere. And then, and then because she engaged, I was like, no, I definitely have met this person before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway. Tell me,
why did she get... If you type in Kimberly Cooper, one of the things it brings up is Kimberly Cooper abducted.
Abducted? That's not good.
It might be a different Kimberly Cooper.
Maybe we shouldn't be talking about this. I had nothing to do with it, listeners. I don't know anything about this.
Oh, yes. No. Just there's a little girl got abducted by a woman called Kimberly Cooper, but it just comes up. Oh. That's unfortunate. I think that's why they usually give middle names to people that they, you Lee Harvey Oswald.
This girl is exactly the same age as us too. This Kimberly Cooper.
Yeah, right.
IMDb says she's like 3 weeks after my birthday. So
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Reasonable for me to think there was a person.
You went to school with her. Yep.
Yeah. Look, before we go into the after party, I did tease at the start of the episode that there was guys. There's been yet another change to Star Wars. I mean, not now. Back in, was it 2003, something like this? Mm-hmm. But it's only just surfaced now.
Interesting.
That when Star Wars Episode 4 aired in Chile, they didn't want to interrupt it. It was sponsored by a beer company, as all things are. And I guess they just paid a little more. And so they just edited shots of the beer into the movie throughout the film, rather than cutting to ads.
What?
So, for example,
it is amazing.
And I thought this must have been a joke. It's not a joke, evidently. The scene where they're in Obi-Wan's house on Tatooine and he goes to open up the chest to get out the lightsaber. He opens it up and it's full of ice and beer and then the lightsaber. And they've just superimposed him getting that out. And then again on the Death Star, there's when he pulls down that panel, he's actually just opening a little mini fridge. There's just edited in their product throughout the film.
Awesome.
Yeah, and apparently it's just come out now and they are not happy about it.
Who's not?
Who's not?
Well,
Chile.
Well, yeah, no, they're perfectly happy about it. Yeah.
But the only problem I've got with it, because all the clips I've seen, they show like here's the beer, but I want to know how they get transition back to the movie.
Well, the one that I saw a full clip of was just a cutaway shot. So it was basically open up a thing, see the beer, like that matches the motion, but then when it comes back, it's not.
So
there.
they didn't really need to acknowledge.
Yeah, didn't need to build in the continuity. Yeah,
and like when he goes like, "Your father wanted me to give something," and he picks up a beer, and then I want to know how he then turns to he's a lightsaber. Like,
it just cuts to a shot of them having a drink first, and then anyway, now that we're good and loaded, have a weapon.
That's funny. All right. I gotta watch these.
You do.
I mean, out of all the changes made to this film, I mean, this is one it's not my worst.
Maybe this is where George got the idea in the first place.
Oh yeah.
He was like, "Wait, we can do that."
Or the Chileans saw this and were like, "Oh, I didn't realize you could just change this movie. Like, this movie must be in the public domain."
That's funny. This was back. When? 20 years
back
ago.
In
the 2000s,
I think.
2003.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's
which is also weird, like because this was like the first time it was showing.
I was going to say, because this was back in like the 80s. Like, how the fuck did they even do it? But yeah, 2000s, you could use a computer.
Yeah. My first job in TV was to go through, because I worked for this company that shot concerts, and they would shoot them live to edit. So they would have cameras on the audience and cameras on the thing, and somebody would just be vision switching. And sometimes they would cut to a shot of people in the audience, and somebody would look bored or not be clapping. Or it was a comedian and cut to a shot of somebody not laughing or something.
Yeah.
And then my job was to go back later and mark down the time codes of these, and then tape to tape off of big Betacam tapes other bits of audience to cover those bits up.
Yeah, right.
So, but you would have to. It was all analog. There was no digital or computer stuff. But you'd have to be like, it was like the cut is at 6:25 and 7 frames until this, and then play it in real time, and then it would come on. And so, I mean, maybe you could do that, but I mean,
I've probably told you this before, but I went to they shot live for television. There was some comedy, like stand-up comedy show in Australia, in the 90s or early 2000s, and I went to see it being shot at Fox Studios, and before the comedians came out, they got us all to sit down. Filmed. They said, "All right, we're going to get a few of you laughing, right? Everybody just laugh, like okay, laugh a bit more. This time, laugh even more, laugh hysterically, that kind of thing. A whole bunch of shots of that. All right, everybody swap seats, right? Get up, shuffle around. Like, don't worry, don't sit next to the same person. You can go back and sit with your friends after. Shuffle everybody around. All right, let's do it again, kind of thing. All right, and then the comedians came out, and they just obviously
and then the laugh
we were laughing after that because they already had footage of us laughing. They were going to edit in.
Yeah. That's well, I told you, didn't I, about when I was in Norway, and we saw a polar bear, which was we went on a trek to see a polar bear.
Yeah. And
the guy was saying, "Oh, BBC sent a crew out here to do a polar bear documentary, and they brought a polar bear costume with them." I'm like, "Of course they did," and like because he was really offended, but I'm like, "No, you don't spend the money on a polar bear documentary.
There will be
with a question mark about whether or not you're going to have a that's right." Yeah.
A wampa.
I paid good money to go see a wampa.
You'd paid good money to see a wampa?
I would pay.
No.
There's a whole deleted subplot in Empire where the Wampas attack the rebel base.
Yes, it comes out of the wall.
Yeah.
And it's actually a scene where they actually get it locked away, and C-3PO goes past and rips off the signs. The stormtroopers go in there and get attacked by the Wampa when the base is
I'm
being
glad that's
invaded.
been removed. That's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It's like watching some kids show where there was a snowman, like a kind of snow monster or something, in back in his little cave, and then just they don't even mention it, but there's just this little lightsaber just sticking out of the snow. I can't remember what show it was though.
All right, so should we head over to the after party?
What's the after
It's
party?
about that time. It's after parties where we will continue talking for a good another 10, 15, sometimes even 30 minutes. But this is the one that you don't get for free.
What?
You got to pay up for it, sorry.
How much?
As little as $5 a month.
Well, it's a bargain.
Yeah, I've got $5.
You can also give us more.
Who do I give the money to?
Oh, you can send it to my bank account, which is... No, you should go to patreon.com/multiplenerdgasm and click the links there.
Very good. And if $5 is too much, but you like the show, you can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can subscribe on there for free, and we'll email you every time an episode comes out, and you'll get the video and the audio version. Or if you want to pay $1, you can have the show early. We'll give you a day early.
Yep.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you just suddenly feel bad that you've been listening to this for free for 13 years, then you want to just chuck us $1 a show, that's fine. Go right ahead.
For a while. But yeah, the after party's where it's at. We're going to keep talking. So,
yeah.
And we got some... We have a big geek of the week this week.
A big geek of the week. Shai Hulud.
Big geek.
Geek of the week.
Big geek.
That's a Dune joke. There's not really someone called Shai Hulud that died. As we already covered, you can't kill a sandworm.
But you can fuck one.
I just wonder if I can
do that in the
impregnate.
after party.
Yeah. I did see people were like going in with like, I'm just here to fuck the popcorn box.
Yes. This guy made a very funny video it was just on Twitter. It was like silly. It was just a picture of like a drawing of a sandworm from one of the books, and he put you put the eyes and the mouth on and you talk, and it was him doing a Trump impression, going, "Hey everybody, it's Shai Hulud. We've all heard about Paul Atreides. He's a very nasty man. He's bringing these religious fanatics up from the south into our country. We've got to put his stuff." It's very funny.
That's great.
My Trump impression sucks. His is better, but it was good.
I saw somebody's Twitter post that's like, I just came out of June. Just to be clear, you all are fighting over cinnamon?
I guess they don't touch on how useful spice is.
They
mention
don't in the first one.
Yeah, they kind of mention
it. But they kind of don't even in the first book, though, even. I'm trying to remember where along the line I actually understood why spice was so important to them.
Yeah. Well, the space travel thing. They do say it.
But also, it's because they outlawed AI somewhere along the line. They can't improve technology, so they have to use magic instead, basically.
So before the movie, Jenna was like, I want to watch a recap. So we watched a recap, and it was all going fine until they started talking about Paul's visions about the Holy War and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, I don't remember that. And I said, you probably don't need to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
It'll come up if you need to know it, I'm sure. And then I said something about, I was like, is there anything else I should explain or whatever? And I started talking about, she said something about, I mentioned mentats, and she goes, what the fuck is a mentat? And I said, oh, well, these humans, they do these calculations because they don't have computers and stuff like that. And she was like, stop.
I can't imagine this being Jenna's
stop,
jam.
or I'm not coming to the movie. I was like, all right.
What's a Benny Gesserit?
Doesn't come up in the movie.
My wife said to me about a week and a half ago, she's like, do you want to see Dune? I said, yeah, when are you free? And she's like, no, not with me.
Very good.
I'm like, well, who with? And she's like, no, I'm just saying, do you want an afternoon where you can go and see it? I'm like, you're just giving me permission to go and see it, are you? Okay, thanks. She's like, to be clear, I have no interest in that. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
That's all for this week. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed it, then please subscribe in iTunes to receive episodes automatically. We'll see you next time.